Hi, I'm your host Renee, and welcome to this edition of Classical Commentary. When a solo instrument is not accompanied by an orchestra, orchestral reductions are usually played on a piano. But is it even humanly possible to create a reduction of J.S. Bach's 6 Brandenburg concertos for the piano? Pianist and Bach enthusiast Eleonor Bindman undertook the monumental task of transcribing these timeless orchestral works for piano duet, in the hope of making them more accessible and playable for the general public. In this special classical commentary interview, Eleonor Bindman takes us through the creative process behind her Brandenburg concerto transcriptions.
I embarked on this project, which took me nearly 3 years, if you consider the beginning of the transcription to the end of the recording. And it was a very patience-trying process, and I think the only thing that kept me going was the motivation to bring this wonderful music to more pianists. I really feel that playing the Brandenburg concertos together on the piano is just a wonderful experience. Somewhat also because, unlike other chamber music, pianists sit really close together on one bench, and just the physical sensation of playing such wonderful music together, it's really just so uplifting and so wonderful. And I'm really happy that despite all the time, I ended up completing this project. We have the Schubert works and we have the Mozart sonatas. But I thought it was a real shame that there was an existing score of the Brandenburg concertos in Max Reger's rendition, but nobody really was playing them. In this day and age with YouTube and the proliferation of videos, it's just amazing that there's not a single live concert by any of the notable duos, and the only famous duo that ever recorded the Max Reger version of the Brandenburgs is Anderson and Rowe, and they only included the 3rd concerto, which is the most sparsely orchestrated, it's just for strings. They included that in their old Bach album. So I realized that I must be not the only one who thinks that this version is inadequate, otherwise there would be record of a lot of excellent pianists playing Bach. At some point I was planning an old Bach series at a venue here in Brooklyn, and I decided to give a try as far as maybe editing the Reger score, and I chose Brandenburg Concerto No. 2. And once I looked at it, I really realized that I couldn't just edit it. I needed to start from scratch. I started just doing my own version, and it took me several months. And we gave it a shot, and it sounded really good, and we performed it, and people were really complimentary, and they enjoyed the experience. Grand Piano Records was interested in it, and I was lucky enough to be able to record with Jenny Lin, who is an excellent pianist. We ended up recording over 2 hours of music in 3 days, which was incredible. These concertos to me are really my contribution. They're my labor of love. I don't think I will ever do anything that was as difficult and as time-consuming as creating these transcriptions, others of course than raising my children.
Eleonor Bindman did not stop there, opting also to transcribe J.S. Bach's 6 cello suites for solo piano. The Bach Cello Suites for Piano recording has become a bestseller for the Grand Piano label and is currently streaming worldwide. For the very first time, non-cellists have the opportunity to get to know and understand basic elements of Bach's extraordinary musical language. Ms. Bindman is happy to make these piano transcriptions with her commentaries available to piano teachers and students alike.
One of my followers on Twitter actually said, we should do all the cello suites. And I was thinking, gee, to do all the cello suites, how would that be received? I wasn't sure at first. It was a very novel idea, and I did some research. And I have found some transcriptions of the cello suites that were done in the 19th century, where there was a lot of harmonic and other romantic, accoutrements, some embellishments added. There's something about playing one line of music well that I think is something that's underrated as far as piano repertoire, because obviously we all admire virtuoso pianists who can play a lot of notes very fast. But this idea of playing 1, 2, or 3 notes beautifully, a single note, is really not getting that much, let's say, practice, because there are not many pieces like that. I realized that it would be nice to make some easier pieces to play for perhaps pianists who are not professional but amateurs, and maybe they're not naturally predisposed to counterpoint and playing 2 different difficult parts in each hand and coordinating those hands, as I have seen with a lot of my piano students. So I got this idea of trying short 1 or 2 pages transcriptions that would still sound really good and stay true to the music's spirit and, of course, harmony and such. So without changing anything too much, I found some suitable excerpts of Bach's cantatas, some excerpts from his harpsichord concertos, some cello and obbligato harpsichord pieces, and I created series that I call Stepping Stones to Bach. When I played through the Stepping Stones to Bach, I realized that despite the fact that they really present only one musical line at a time, they're extremely gratifying to play because the music is just wonderful. The cello suites probably required the most concentration because each sound is just bare and open, and to try to play it so that you keep the listener's attention required a lot of focus. In recording the suites, I really tried to present the contrast between movements of each one of them, and yet to try to keep the individuality of each different suite because of the key and especially the nature of the prelude, because of course the preludes are more improvisatory and rhapsodic movements, and the rest are just dances which are formally have to present a certain time signature and a certain style. The prelude is one part where you could really interpret things your own way, and all 6 of them, as Bach was written, are extremely different, and each are kind of a face of the suite. So I tried to underscore these differences to make the recording more interesting. The recording has been doing extremely well. It already became the bestseller of the past 3 years for Grand Piano Records. After the recording was released, I was able to work on the score, which has some commentaries that I have written, because I realized that since I wanted to make the score pretty much an urtext type of a work, which means I did not alter anything other than rewrite Bach for piano, I realized that amateurs especially may need some context. So I actually wrote an introductory set of commentaries to each suite, covering each movement. And for the famous suite number 1 in G major, I actually wrote an analysis of the entire piece just to make it easier for people to be able to understand how to approach Bach's music. The idea of these becoming tools for better pianism is really what my purpose was. The other very important thing is that when you look at a piano score of the suite, because there aren't as many notes as in a more customary counterpoint piece written for the keyboard by Bach, where you have at least 2 melodic lines happening at once. Here you just have one line, and it's very easy to analyze it and to really see the patterns and the structure of his musical thought. So I think that the piano score is really a wonderful study tool of Bach, which can become a great gateway into his more difficult compositions, which you then can understand a lot better. I'm getting some wonderful feedback from people who are just saying that now that they can't leave the house so much because of COVID, they're having so many wonderful hours with the piano because of the Bach. Some older people have written to me talking about how they can now play pieces without feeling inadequate or feeling they're not good enough because this is not essentially virtuosic music. And it's just, it's been wonderful to receive such feedback. 1721 was the year for the Brandenburgs and also for the cello suite. So I'm hoping that the anniversary can actually bring a little bit more of attention to my attempts to bring these works into the piano repertoire, 300 years.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Classical Commentary. Thanks for joining us, and remember, great music makes a great day. We'll see you next time.